Hey guys, Michael from Dapper Raptor here, and in this video we're going to go over the updates for version 1.4 of QuestMap Pro. As per usual, the update notes will be linked in the description, and you can see them here. But let's jump in the engine and have a look. So first of all, the first thing that was added was an ability to add filters onto your capture. So when you create your map capture, if I just get into the correct folder here. So the capture is going to happen here. If we go to our map helper and we can set up whatever we want, set that all back to default. So in this case, we're going to be making a capture in here. So we'll just call this in this instance example capture. And when we hit capture, we get an image of the map. So that looks like this, which is what we'd expect. If we go to this and we go top down and then set it to unlit, we get much the same thing. Now what you can do is, the intended use of that is to take this, jump into Photoshop or Critter or whatever your image manipulation software of choice is, and turn this into a nice map. Some people don't want to do that. Some people want to use the capture as it is. So what we've added here is a new setting to enable post-processing materials. When we do that, we can add post-processing materials to this array here, and the system now actually comes with a few. So if I open up a second content browser, in QuestMap materials filters, we've actually got three here. We've got a Laplacian filter, a Kuwahara, and a desaturation filter, or saturation filter as it is set up by default. So if I drag, say, the Laplacian onto here, and I just set that as default, one thing you have to do is make sure to click Prepare Capture, and that will just make sure the post-processing material is compiled and turn it on for a second, so that any post-processing effects that require input over time will get that. We can hit Capture Map, and you can see now we've actually got a filtered version of the map. Now, obviously, it's not perfect. This is just a fairly basic Laplacian filter from an online video, but you could go through and tweak this to however you want, and I believe there are even settings available in the filter. Yeah, so you can go through and change some of these settings and get different results. Similarly, the other filters all have settings. So desat is by default set to 2.0. As you can see, it's a bit more colorful there. If we set this to 0.5 or 0.2, oops. Sorry, we want to go upwards. So if we set this to 0.8, we're going to get almost completely desaturated. So if we replace this Laplacian with the desat and hit capture, we didn't prepare, hit prepare and then capture, you can see we get a very washed out version. So one of the inspirations for this edition is actually one of the users using this, using my map system in their game has done something similar, and they actually used the Kuwahara filter. So let's chuck that on as well. Let's put that on after the desat has happened. And let's maybe take the desaturation all the way to 1. So we get a completely black and white image. So we're going to hit prepare capture. We're going to capture image. And we get this. So it's a little bit blurry. It's a little bit like, it looks sort of a bit like watercolor painting, and it's all black and white. So one thing you can do there is if you jump into your controller and we go to the world map and we change the fog, the map backing texture, which is also used for fog. We go example capture, and I don't remember which one it was. I think it was 4. We make sure fog is turned on, which I believe it should be. Yep. We hit play. Now we're going to have this really cool effect where we can see the map, but as we discover it, we get a more detailed version of the map. And in this case, you know, a much nicer version because it's all actually using art. So you get this really cool effect here that can be used. Obviously, you can use it for the main map image and that as well, but that's one way I've seen it used. And like I said, that was the inspiration for this. I think it's a really cool feature, really useful for prototyping and such. So let's move on from that one now. So next we've added the ability to export external saves. Now this is not something I'm going to go over here. All you need to do to turn it on all you need to know is that to turn it on, go down to save, and you can click on use external data, and then there is a separate tutorial on how to implement it here. There will be a video version coming in the next day or two as well. So that just goes through the process of how to collect your data and how to load it all. It's fairly straightforward, but it's something that was requested because obviously you don't want to have a separate save file just for the map. And if you wanted to have multiple game profiles and all that sort of thing, you also need that. So it was intended that people would build that themselves, but I've added it in natively now. Another one that's been added is the compass degree counter. So if we turn this off, so this is what it was like originally. We just look at the compass. Obviously it turns, it shows landmarks, it gives you the direction counters that move and all that sort of thing. But now I've also added a new little widget that can round off the degrees. So if you look on the compass, you see 30, 15, 45. It's rounding it off to the nearest 15 degrees. And we can change that to be, you could do like 45 degrees. And either side of north, it's going to be 0. But once it hits halfway between 0 and 45, it'll round to 45 and so on. And you can change what's after that. So, I don't know, maybe you might want something strange like that. I don't know why you would want this, but let's say you do. And that way you've got your own sort of design there. So that's a simple one we've got. And then the last major feature that was added is the big one, and that is the map is now, and you might have already noticed because I believe it's turned on. No, it's not turned on by default. So let's turn that on. The map can now be used as a 3D widget. So if we go in here, we go map uses 3D widget. There will be a separate tutorial on how to get the map onto your widget. It does just use a interface, so you just need to set up your widget. I'll show you how it's done in the demo one. If we jump into the demo character, we've just got, it's set as hidden, a cube that is, where is our visibility? Visible. So it's just down here, and that's because we animate it up. So it's literally just a cube with a widget placed on it, and that widget is set up to use the Quest Map Pro World Map 3D. So this is a new version of the World Map widget in here, which is just set up with all the stuff it needs to be a 3D widget. So if we go back and set this back to hidden, as I said, there will be a much more detailed tutorial on how to set this up in your own project, so you can get it onto a watch, or you can get it onto a laptop, or whatever, however you want to set it up on a 3D widget. But if we hit play now, I'll just get this box out of the way, because 3D widgets have actual place in the world. So you can see our map is coming up from down below, and you see it's got all the same settings we had before. And if we walk up against something, because it's a 3D map, some things it will. There we go. It'll actually move, like interact with the world. So this has most of the same features that you have in Quest Map Pro when it's a 2D map, but there are some limitations. And I've gone over them in the update notes down here. It's the wrong tab. So just the considerations, which is that there's no way to click on the map, so you would need to build your own input system for that, and that's going to be because input in the 3D world is very much going to be based on a project by project basis, so there's not really a holistic way for me to incorporate that. So things like placing waypoints, you will need to place them with code rather than clicking on the map. Same with fast travel. There is going to be a fast travel network system coming in, sort of like how Morrowind does fast travel, where you need to go to specific areas to have fast travel, but that's not in yet. I'm hoping to get that in 1.5. The tiered zoom grids, they should work with the 3D widget, but because you don't zoom in and out, because there's no way to zoom, because there's no interaction, you're probably not going to need them. There's also a chance there might be some issues with them because it's not supported currently. I haven't gone through the process of testing it. One other thing you may have noticed is that 3D widgets in Unreal, now I'm not super experienced with 3D widgets. This was really my first time using them. But I don't know if you can see, if you compare the mini map to the world map, you can see the world map is a bit different color. It seems like because there's no lighting information on 3D widgets, if I go under a shadow here, the color of the mini map doesn't change at all. It seems like they get a bit washed out. So what I've done is I've added in some options here under the 3D mini map widget or adjustments, which has a spelling error I'll need to fix. So by default, these are the settings I found that get the best results in this demo level. It's just a contrast desat and brightness change. You may need to change that on a project to project. If you want to leave it as normal, if you hover over each of these, it says what values will do nothing, and in each case it's 1. So if you just set them all to 1, you'll get what the engine pumps out normally, which is not right. Sorry, desaturation I think should be 0. Yeah, 0. So it should be 1, 0, 1. Yep, but as you can see, that's much more washed out. So I'd recommend playing around with those. Obviously, if someone with more experience with 3D widgets can chime in and let me know if there's a way to sort that out to get better results, that would be cool. At the moment, landmarks, points of interest, and all that sort of thing are also going to be washed out. I will have a better solution for those long term, but at the moment, I don't want to be applying these adjustments to every single marker widget, so I'm trying to work out a better solution. And I think that is it. So that is everything that's in 1.4. There are also a number of bug fixes and some quality of life things which you can read down in here if you want to look. But other than that, that's everything. So thank you very much for watching, and let me know if you have any feedback. Cheers.